The story begins, and we see some goblins having a party night in the middle of the jungle, but someone is watching them from behind the trees. He is our main protagonist, Haruka, a total loner who was summoned to another world along with his classmates. As he tries to move away, the goblins notice him and start to chase him, but Haruka has already dug up a trap for them, and all the goblins are trapped in the hole. We see a flashback of Haruka's school, where he is sitting alone as usual during the lunch break, while all the other students are having fun with their friends. He describes his classmates in groups: the delinquents, the gyrus, the jocks, the nerds, the class rep, and the rest are just in the others category. Suddenly, a strange light emerges in the classroom, causing panic among the students. As the light keeps expanding, Haruka notices it and shouts, "A magic circle? Just like the ones in the light novel I just read." Haruka gets excited for a bit, but then again, he thinks going to another world would be a drag. He gets up and tries to get out of the class but fails to open the door despite all his efforts. As he sees others starting to teleport, he resorts to his last choice and tries to escape through the duct. But as he gets inside the air duct, the magic circle catches him, and he is teleported to a weird white place. He thinks, isn't this the time when some overweight king or pretty princess shows up? Suddenly, he sees an old man who waves at him. He is apparently the god of another world, and he tells Haruka that the others have already left. The old man asks him to pick a skill for the other world, but being the last one to arrive, all the useful and powerful skills are already taken by the other students in his class, and only the useless ones are left for Haruka. Haruka complains to the old man that all these skills are worthless and that the cheat skills and powerful ones are already taken. Then the old man snaps and says, "In that case, I'll grant you all the remaining skills. Farewell." And that's how Haruka gained all the leftover, worthless skills and got teleported to another world. As Haruka opens his eyes, he finds himself in a jungle with a sack lying on the ground. Upon picking it up, he notices that he can store unlimited items in it and find some clothes and other stuff. After changing his clothes, Haruka checks his stats, and suddenly a notification appears: "Please throw your dice." Suddenly, 2 dice appear in his hands, and as he rolls them, both dice land on M. Haruka is shocked and says, "What the heck does M mean? Don't tell me it's minus." He decides to put it into luck, and suddenly his stats appear, showing that his luck skill is maxed, and that's what M meant. Along with all the other skills, he also got 2 extra unknown skills. He wonders if it's because he's a loner and becomes sad, thinking he won't get any harem here. He starts wondering where the rest of his class is, but then remembers his loner status and starts thinking about making a base and finding food. He's still worried that he can't do anything if a monster shows up. Suddenly, he finds contact lenses among the leftover items, and upon wearing them, he can see the details and names of everything in front of him. Upon opening his stats, he realizes that the contact lenses grant him the appraisal skill. After running around the jungle, he finally finds some food, plopscrum mushrooms, which draw out latent abilities. After searching for a while, Haruka finds a cave that, fortunately, is empty, and he decides to make it his home base, using temperature magic to make fire. The next morning, it's shown that his shut-in job title protects his living space. He also learned fire magic, which he used to cook the mushrooms he collected from the jungle. After eating his breakfast, he starts exploring the forest, but unfortunately, he encounters goblins, which are small fries in another world but have higher stats than expected. Haruka decides to fight them with his wooden stick, wrapping it up with magic. He attacks one of the goblins and easily overpowers them, and Haruka relaxes after his victory over the goblins. He enjoys his first victory in his home cave, eating mushrooms. The next day, he goes out to practice his magic and uses magic infusion to wrap his whole body with magic, which increases his speed and agility. After going against more goblins, he can now easily defeat them without effort. He spends the next 5 days practicing his magic at night and hunting goblins during the day. After 5 days, he can take down a goblin with a single strike. One night, Haruka finally stumbles upon a rabbit and chases it for meat. As he finally catches it, he senses a presence, none other than his class delinquents. From other directions, he senses the gyrus, the jocks, the nerds, and the class rep. It's revealed that Haruka and the class rep were classmates since the first year of grad school, but meeting them again would spoil his loner time in another world, so he decides to stay hidden in the bushes. As his classmates walk away, he chases them to a riverbed where the delinquents are talking about the class rep and their plans to make a harem. As they head back to their base, Haruka realizes that his classmates are upstream, but he heads back, thinking his life is better as a loner. As he heads back to his base and checks his stats, he finds that his loner job title has leveled up, and he starts eating mushrooms to relieve his stress. On day 7, Haruka is interrupted in his sleep by weird noises. As he heads out, thinking the delinquents are making the noise, he instead finds the nerds trying to fight a group of goblins. Haruka notices that they aren't doing well in the fight, so he decides to join in and help them. After a moment, all the goblins are defeated, and the nerds thank him for saving them. Haruka tells them it's nothing and invites them to his home base, where the nerds are surprised to see such a fancy cave with furniture. Haruka asks them about the other classmates and is shocked to find out that the nerds are on the run from the delinquents. They explain that it all started the day they were transported here. We see a flashback where all the classmates doubted whether they were really in another world. Everyone was worried, and that's when the delinquents approached the nerds, demanding that they explain this world to them or they would beat them up. We see other students, some are terrified, some are hungry, and some are crying. The class rep tries to calm them down, but just then, goblins attack, causing panic among them. Even the delinquents are terrified, but to everyone's surprise, the nerds step forward and use their skills to fight back against the goblins. Seeing them, the jocks come forward, and they manage to defeat the monsters. Everyone moves and camps near the river, and the nerds take the initiative to set up the camp. The class rep appoints each one with a task, but after a few hours, the Gyarists decide to leave the group, followed by everyone else. That's how the class separates, and only the nerds, the class rep, and a few others are left to do the work. The nerds work hard to level up as they discover the true intentions of the delinquents. They tell the class rep, but the delinquents are also leveling up. The nerds manage to seal their skills, and with their slave harem plan exposed, they are expelled from the settlement. But the delinquents attack the camp at night, burn the whole place down, and leave. Somehow, everyone blames the nerds, especially the Gyarists, who are hard on them, so they decide to leave the group. Haruka cheers them up after listening to their story and treats them to a mushroom feast, spending the next day with them as well. The next day, as the nerds leave, they tell Haruka that they're heading downstream to find a town and become adventurers. But Haruka refuses to join them. He decides to go check on the others. As the nerds were worried about the class rep on his way, he encounters a kobold but manages to defeat it. Upon reaching the settlement, he finds nothing but the remains of the camp. Haruka wonders, nobody's here. Did they move the camp? He tracks their footprints using his enemy tracking skill and, after some time, finds the Gyarists. Panicked, he starts running, but the girls manage to stop him by saying, "Please." Haruka is shocked to hear the word "please" from girls. They explain that they are looking for the nerds, as they realize they were wrong to accuse them of everything. Haruka tells them they can't catch up to them now. Suddenly, the girls start crying as they wanted to apologize to the nerds. Suddenly, they ask Haruka to teach them how to survive, and at that moment, his servitude skill gets unlocked, which makes the Gyarist Haruka's servants who would do anything for him. As he wonders how to cancel this skill, the class rep finds him, but Haruka doesn't notice her as he's busy thinking about a way to cancel servitude until she screams at him. Elsewhere, the delinquents are making plans for their evil motives. Meanwhile, Haruka calls her Miss Class Rep, and she screams, "That's not my name." We see all the other girls arrive at the scene, tired and exhausted. The class rep asks Haruka what happened to Shimazaki and her friends, who are under Haruka's servitude. Haruka somehow tells her that they are under his servitude, and the class rep starts shouting at him, saying that it's a skill for monsters, not people. All the girls start giving him cold stares, so cold that it seems someone must be using ice magic. Haruka turns around and says, "Bye," trying to run away, but the girls stop him. The class rep asks him why he's going home. Haruka says, "Why? Am I not allowed to go home? I'm a shut-in loner, you know?" As the girls start discussing what happened, Haruka uses the time to practice expanding his home base but ends up exerting too much magic and gets stuck underground. The class rep comes to rescue him and tells him that Shimazaki explained what happened. She understands that he was just trying to help them, and everyone apologizes to him. He asks if he can leave now, but the girls attack him, saying he should help them. After being dominated by the girls, Haruka takes them to his home base, which is now luxurious and bigger than before. The girls are surprised to see such a luxurious house in the middle of the jungle. Haruka shows them the kitchen, toilet, and bath. The girls get too excited after learning about the bath and jump into it. Haruka gets shy, thinking that his class girls are in his bath right now. Haruka moves outside to attempt to spend the night, happy that he is finally alone. Meanwhile, the girls sleep peacefully in his house, but Haruka can't sleep, thinking about the girls inside. The next morning, Haruka is woken up by one of the girls approaching him seductively, but Haruka avoids her, asking what's for breakfast. She answers, "Mushrooms and grilled fish." Haruka is suddenly shocked hearing fish, as he hasn't had fish or meat since coming to this world. They both bump their heads in excitement over the fish, and the scene shifts to Haruka enjoying the fish while the class rep and the girl ask why he's crying while eating it. Haruka replies that he was never able to catch a single fish. He asks them how they are able to catch fish, and the girls explain that they use lightning magic to electrocute the fish in the water. After having fish, the girls ask Haruka to train them, and he asks about their levels. He's saddened to learn that the lowest level among the girls is 16, while he's only at level 7. He starts training them and asks the Gyarists to fight a group of kobolds, who badly beat the girls. After a brief discussion, the girls decide they won't lose next time, and we see Haruka talking to the girl who woke him up in the morning. She explains that she was just testing him because the boys in class tried to assault her, and she wanted to know if she could trust Haruka or not. Now she knows that she can trust him. After a while, the girls go for round 2 with the kobolds, and this time, they win the fight and beat the kobolds. The class rep comes to Haruka and thanks him, saying that now they can head to town with him. Haruka is surprised because he never said anything about coming with them. The class rep threatens him with her cuteness, and he agrees, even though he didn't want to. They all start packing and head toward the town. The scene shifts to another part of the forest, where we see a boy from class trying to run away from someone and falling to the ground. We see a figure in a robe that kills the boy. It turns out that he was also from Haruka's class and was killed for some unknown skill. Thank you guys for watching this video, and if you enjoy this recap, subscribe for the next part.